Ah, bonjour my friends. 大丈夫ですか？君は大丈夫だといいけど。答えるのは聞こえない。君はバカだ。Indeed, you guessed it. Today we are going to talk about Japan. Once again, I'm the elegant dandy, and today we are going to talk manga. With Chainsawman being quite popular these days, and for good reason, it truly is a magnificent piece of art. Let's venture in the beautiful world of Japan, and let me introduce you to something that I believe is one of the most under the radar thing of the country. And another one from our country. Us, beautiful European beings, or Americans, you're less concerned, but still, it's good to know. But then, what is that thing? Well, its name is Kotodama. No, not this one. And, just like the first one, we aren't just going to talk about this concept, but we are going to tie it with recent work, and as you heard it, it's going to be Chainsawman. And more specifically, of its demons or devils, depending on how you want to call them. Now, let's begin from the beginning, shall we? But then, what is Kotodama? Eh bien, Kotodama, while being rather unknown for us Occidentals, is a central part of the Japanese mythos, especially in Shintoism, even though there is an equivalent in Buddhism, which is called the Sutra. It is the idea that the words, their pronunciation, and the intentions behind them have more meaning than just pronouncing them. Kotodama comes from the words koto tama, which means word soul. Koto meaning word, and tama meaning soul. But through a common process of Japanese language, the T becomes D. Another good example from Japanese language would be hanabi, which means firework. Well, it literally means flower fire, but our word is firework. And it is composed by the word hana, which means flower, and hi, which means fire. But through the process called rendaku, hana hi becomes hana bi. For our last example, there is also hiragana, which means flat kana. Hira being flat, and kana being kana. But through rendaku, it becomes hiragana. And I digress. Let's go back to our Kotodama, shall we? The idea of Kotodamas is very old. We estimate it to be around 3,500 years old, which is quite a lot and would probably date back to the Jomon period. And the idea is that each kanas is inhabited by a kami, a deity of sort. Therefore, each kana has a particular power. A good example would be to mention the Kojiki. In the Kojiki, Susanoo and Amaterasu, the two siblings born from Izanagi, and we're gonna talk about them in a future video, I'm certain. Well, they have a difficult relationship, and there is one particular moment of the Kojiki that comes to my mind when I'm speaking of Kotodama. It is the day Susanoo left the heavenly plains. Susanoo went to see his sister, telling her that he wanted to leave to see his mother's land, even though he technically doesn't have a mother. And by so, and through the process of Kotodama, he wanted to show her that his intentions were pure. But Amaterasu was cautious, of course. Susanoo, being the kami of the storm, has always been of the impetuous kind. But Susanoo said, "Let each of us swear and produce children," implying that the promise, if made by a pure heart, would produce kamis, and producing kamis, it did. From only that promise, the two produced new gods. This is the power of Kotodama. And again, there is another good example, even though less prestigious, and it would come from the manga Jujutsu Kaisen. Toge Inukami is a sorcerer that uses word to cause harm. Doesn't it ring a bell? It should. Très bien. Let's get back to topic now. Chainsawman and the power of word. From now on, it should have rang a bell, because I believe that the Kotodama has inspired the devils in Chainsawman. The simple idea, the name, the kanas of concept, making them real and a threat. It sounds oddly familiar to me. Why are Japanese people not fond of the word for? Because of Kotodama. For is produced shi, which also means death. People being scared of the gun devil, making him a real threat, is something that reminds me a lot of this idea. It's also shown in their legislation. Guns are forbidden in Japan. And why would you forbid something if you're not afraid of it? But is of course not the only menace. There are others who are purely Japanese. In my country, nobody is afraid of a fox. But in Japan, the fox devil could possibly be one of the scariest. We all know of the kitsune from the Japanese mythos. After all, he is one of the main characters of the manga Naruto. A creature that could be terrifyingly evil and full of tricks, or that could very well be the messenger of the god Inari, the god of fertility, rice, and tea. Yes, it truly is a highly difficult being to grasp, indeed. Or, there are also the Blood Devil, which is, by the way, my favorite character of the manga. But there are plenty of peoples that are afraid of blood. It reminds us of our frailty, the idea of being wounded. It connects to death itself. I believe this all boils down to Kotodama. Ah oui, Chainsawman really is a good manga, don't you think? I, for myself, am a big fan of it. And there are so many other things to talk about, if you wish to. I've said most of the things I had to say about the idea of Kotodama. It is a very mysterious one in the end. But there is one last thing. One that I believe could be interesting to tackle, even if a bit off topic. But hey, we still have plenty of time anyway, so let's keep going, shall we? You probably saw it, but in the opening and some scenes of Chainsawman, there is one particular work of art that comes back again and again. The Divine Comedy from Dante Alighieri. Now, for those who haven't read the Divine Comedy, it is the tale of a man's travel to hell itself. Doesn't it already remind you of someone? A young man living alone in a world that doesn't want him, looking for someone, for something to live for. Dante goes through hell to find Beatrice, Denji first goes through hell to find a goal, to be happy in the demand of Pochita. Then, in the second part, spoiler alert, he makes a pact to find the Blood Devil to make it power once more, because she was kind of his little sister. The love between Dante and Beatrice and the one between Power and Denji aren't so different in the end. The first one is the love between a man and a woman, it is true. It is also true that the love between Power and Denji is closer to the one of a sibling, but in the end, a pure, unmotivated love is still a pure, unmotivated love, no matter the nature of such love. In this, Denji is Dante, and Power is Beatrice. Then, there's this idea of morality. Dante questions his own morality the same way Denji does. For example, when Himeno dies and sees Aki cry, why doesn't he himself cry?
Come on. What did you expect?
Would he feel sad if Power, or Aki, or even his beloved Makima were to die? Did his heart die when Pochita took over his place? Or did the world just broke him so bad that he's now not even human anymore, unable to feel grief? Once again, Denji is Dante. He is a person that questions his own motives, his beliefs. Denji is just our new Dante. Eh bien, this was all I had to say for today, at least. I hope you liked this video once again, and I thought that all of this was fascinating and interesting. I do love looking for little hints in medias that I love, and Chainsaw Man I've been reading for a while now, and I do love it a lot. Now, what about we leave for today and wish ourselves a goodbye? See you soon. De très bonnes fêtes à vous. Au revoir. Matane. And be careful with the words you use.